Hello and welcome to the Trish Rock Inspires podcast, where we explore spirituality, intuition, and life so that you can learn a different and greater perspective on who you are, why you are here, and find more meaning and purpose in your life. Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. But now, sit back and enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome everybody to this episode of Trish Rock Inspires. And today I'm having an awesome conversation with one of my lovely friends, Lyndi MacRae from Interweb Marketing and Aztec Héäling. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lyndi is the founder of Interweb Marketing and Aztec Héäling. She's known as the Holistic Business Intuitive, and Lyndi is an intuitive seer who says, I see what's possible in your business right now that you don't, and also the vision of what is yet to come. With over 2 decades of experience, she combines practical expertise in business systems, marketing, and websites with visionary insights to help clients achieve their full potential. Through her Aztec Process and sound healing, Lyndi also helps individuals align with their selves to manifest the life they desire. I love it. And we're going to have a very delicious and insightful conversation. Welcome.
Thank you. That was a beautifully shared introduction there. There's so many pieces of yumminess in there that makes my heart sing.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me here, Trish.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for coming on. So let's start first with your business side of things. You are the business intuitive. Tell us a little bit about that and how you help people in business.
Sure. So it's coming to be the Holistic Business Intuitive, partly because of when I've been working with clients, because as it says, 2 decades worth of doing this. I started back in 1998 with websites and did lots of direct selling in between there. There's lots of different stories. Some of it's in my book, and got back into the online space. And there's been lots of healing journeys and things as long as business growth and things like that. And it's all interconnected and interrelated. And we could go back to Interweb, the name Interweb, when back in 1998, I'm sitting in my parents' lounge. They had a desktop publishing company. I had my little desk with my computer where I was doing web development work there. And I was coming up with my name. And that, Interweb, because back then, I was trying to think of a clever name. It's been a bit difficult to spell for people. Naturally, like my name, people get that wrong too. But that Interweb was a significant name because it was like, well, I'm into the things on the web.
Yeah.
Now, the web is like a network. All right, it's all around the globe, and there's all these little nodes and all these connectivity pieces. So in the the alternative woo-woo spiritual space that I play in, there's the mycelium network, and then there's the network within us, our nerves. So there's this network, and it was just dropping in like the last few years of awareness of this, of how interconnected everything is. Yeah. And the holistic business intuitive part came about from working on myself and looking at who I work with and love to work with. And it is the people who are in health and wellness, coaches, consultants, practitioners. They're generally an author. They've got online courses or want to create an online course and things like that. So that they are in the holistic space.
Yeah.
So when I was writing my book, I met someone who, was a medical intuitive, and, then, conversations, it was, you're the business intuitive. So I sort of went, I'm going to own that because I like that. So then I just sort of started calling myself the business intuitive. And then, you know, as you know, I write articles and I'm a VIC with Holistic Bliss magazine. So the holistic part got added in because I do take, and in my web development side of the business, it was always, I take an end-to-end solution, which is holistic, because it's taking in, factoring in all of it. It's all encompassing. It's a holistic approach to getting an end result. So does that, I mean, that's sort of where that came from. And then the intuitive side is where I've only recently realized, actually a conversation with you, Trish, so thank you, you know, that I was a seer. I see things when I'm sitting here and talking to people, and I tune in to what their visions are, their goals, their dreams, not necessarily just business, also in my Aztec healing side. I start seeing things and I get what I call my downloads. So I was like, wow, I'm actually a seer. And I know that's one of the words, if you want to put a label on people like yourself, you know, the psychic, intuitive side of you. I see things and I feel it, you know, it just comes in. And I'm like, well, I'm not making this up. I don't know how I know this, but I just do.
It's so great that, and it's so great you're trusting that as well. I mean, that's a great lesson for everyone listening, is to really trust those instincts, and especially coming from web design, because I mean, I used to be in that world too, and you know, you can get very analytical, and logic and analytics tend to say, don't trust that intuitive side. So I think it's really great that you've been able to trust that and then bring both of that together, because it truly does help people. And part of that, you know, way that you see that vision for somebody's business also includes the technical side of things with all of your processes, etc.
Yes, and it's interesting you say that the blending of, because it wasn't always that way. It was hidden away. I was very much in the thinking part. You know, I go deep into funnels. I've built really, really complex systems and, you know, just gone so deep down the rabbit holes. And just to clarify too, there is a difference between a web developer and a web designer. Same within the IT world. There's lots of different areas in there. I don't know everything about IT because there's networking and there's building computers in IT. That's not my area. I'm good at the development side of things. I have my team, which are the designers, because that's not me. I am very, I guess you could say, plain Jane, simple, practical. For me, it's about the end user experience. What is it like for them? Are they getting that happy ending? And that's what I wrote about in my book. I like to deliver a happy ending. And I've used that too in speaking, to use that as a bit of a pattern interrupt. You know, if people are watching, they're like, oh, did she just say that? It's like, not that one. But, you know, because we're talking about, for me in business, it's about a customer journey and a buying experience, and you want it to be pleasurable, delightful, whatever, so that they go wee down a smooth slide and come off the bottom going, yay! And on the calls with people, they go, oh, and they go, there's the happy ending. And then they laugh. So, you know, in my business, the core value number one is love. My second one is fun. So I love bringing fun into it because, you know, as you know with yourself, start talking about technology and funnels. And I had it this morning. She was literally physically just doing this and just, looking around.
My head. It's hurting my head.
So, and she was just like, this is so not my skill set. And I said, just take a big breath. It's okay. Hang on a moment. I'll pull back and I will just give you what you need to do now. And just focus on getting those bits done. I said, and then I'll continue with this, because she did ask a question, which unlocked a download. And I just went, blah, 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 blah. And then I just started seeing her going, oh. So like she physically did it. And, you know, so I'm aware of that lesson. I haven't always been aware of when I can fire hydrant people. That's what I call it. When I get downloads, I get so excited and my feet start going like this, and I'm like, oh yes, let's go. And I really
Oh.
wish technology evolves enough to just put electrodes on my head and it just downloads into the computer and I'm creating it on the spot. It'll come one day.
It
Um,
will. It will. Well, now that you've
yeah,
said it, of course it will happen.
yeah,
You know, we don't say random things, but I think that's, such a gift that you have there, especially because you work in that holistic spiritual community.
mm,
And, I can be analytical and intuitive, but there are a lot of people who can't be both and are very in their intuition and in all the fields, and anything logical or process driven, it's just a bit mind blowing. So I think that's great
mm,
that you have that kind of sense about that, and you can step into both worlds and understand how that person's feeling and kind of bring it back a bit if you have to. And so for I know there's a lot of people in the spiritual world who won't take that step forward to even get a website
mm,
because it's just too mind blowing. It's too
yeah,
much. It feels like hard work. So I think it's great that people listening today. Maybe there's some people who are in that category as well, and or don't want to think about funnels or systems. But I mean, you really understand the complexity of it, and you bring it all back down to let's just do this because this will happen.
yeah. I like to extract it and keep it simple. So before I mentioned about, I've worked in very, very complex systems. And one client who people may know of, which is MacRae-Simple. When I was writing my book, there's a bit of a story around this one. Is it all right if I share that?
Yeah, show everyone your book. Yeah, this is
So,
Lindy's book. Yeah,
yeah, this is one of
beautiful.
my books.
I'll have the link to buy that in the description.
Yeah, thank you. But when I was writing that, I sent Mari a message asking her to write in it for me. And she thought my book was purely about the software that I was using. And while I do mention it in the book and I am a Keep certified partner, it's not purely just about that. It is about the business operating success systems, which is what the BOSS acronym is. I'm full of acronyms and analogies and metaphors. So she wrote back with this big long email of some of her current pain points, and it just was a total curveball. But the beautiful thing about that was I wrote back to her and I said, can I help you? So we jumped on a call, she showed me, and then we went through things, and I said, give it all to me, because when I'm working with people, I go, just throw it at me, give me all your chaos, because that allows me to put it in order. And it just starts going, dropping in.
Well, that's a natural ability that you have to put things
Yeah,
in order. Yeah.
yeah. And I keep asking questions. If I feel like my wheels are spinning and I don't have traction yet, I keep asking questions. Now, some people don't like that because their egos will flare up and think I'm questioning them. And it's like, this is not about you. And egos come to me to die too, because I don't operate well with someone who's in ego, because it's just too hard.
Sometimes the questions are too hard as well. It's not always from.
Yeah, well, there's that. I know when there's a difference. So you can tell when you're up against someone who knows everything, but then underneath that, you've got to look and go, what's the resistance?
Yeah.
What is the resistance in there? But I went back to her with it, and she was just talking about how complicated everything was, and she couldn't do things.
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, I've done myself out of a job. She was able to publish and launch and create her whole system because I simplified what was made too complex. Because there was a time where being complex was a good thing because it made you look smart. When funnels were all first starting out, and inside some of the systems, you can build really complex looking pieces of automation, but it doesn't make you a superstar rock star if the client can't use it. It sits in there just as this piece that's never used, and it's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
So for me, it was the ability to simplify that. And, you know, that's what I love doing. And that's where Simple Marketing, which is my new mentoring and services that I offer, has come into play, because people want simple, and it's about meeting you where you're at in your journey as well. Whether it's, you know, it might just be, there might be a 5-minute conversation I can have, which unblocks a blockage that they've had to a resistance to a thing, which was based on misinformation that they'd heard from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
or an old experience as well, perhaps.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Most of my clients in the past all come to me with, I've spent thousands of dollars, I haven't got what I wanted, it doesn't work, and they're exhausted because, and they've lost faith in this marketing world, because there is a lot of misinformation out there. And that's one of my drivers too. It's like, I've got to stamp this out. I don't so much anymore. I'm not here to be everybody's hero. How I do things is not for everybody, but I've got a lot of experience. And on my book, there's a T on the back, right? This is strategic as well in the design of the book. And, you know, thank you for asking. I'll tell you. What's the T for?
What is the T for? I didn't even know it was there.
No, well, people don't know. It's a hidden message, but it's about having, you know, there's an awareness of knowledge, but you go deep into your thing. So you've got a deep well, and there's always, the well can keep going, keep going, keep going. But what I did is I developed the skills across many things, but I then specialized in the systems, and particularly in what this book's about is creating that customer journey, that pleasurable buying experience, which is about a relationship. And I often talk about it too, and I think I've had this conversation with you, the relationship, the dating game, and you know, come and meet someone at the bar or for a coffee or whatever, and then saying, hey, come back to my room, you know, you're likely to get slapped, but that's a sudden no. Whereas if you get to know someone and build that relationship, develop that a bit of that trust, they get to know who you are and go, yep, I like you, therefore you've got that opportunity to build up the trust. And that's where the automation systems come into play, because you can build what they call the funnel to have certain touch points along the way, and sending out email newsletters. Not that you call them that, because people don't want to get a newsletter, but there's, you know, there's a way of, with your audience, having a particular piece of information you can share that they're interested in knowing about. Because you would know for yourself, if there's something that you're interested in, you will go research the web, you will watch videos, you will hunt it down and look for resources to do what I call your due diligence, to develop the knowledge so that you can make a buying decision. And that's what the customer, that's part of the customer journey, because the customer journey, you're sitting here, I'm buying the product, but what happens before that? What happens after that? It's all interconnected in this infinite loop, because they come in, they buy, they go back, they buy again, and you're just looping them around, and they're spreading the word and becoming raving fans and brand ambassadors for you, sharing your message. You know, like I do for when I'm working with people. You know, something good happens for me, I will share it and go, if you want to know how to do this, go follow this person, go check them out.
That's right. And it's that social proof. So for people listening, whether they really just need an email list started, like if they're very basic, if you're listening and you don't have an email list started, Lyndi can help you with that. Or at anywhere along the scale to anything more complicated, that you know, you've also got this lovely intuitive side that is not only mechanical but really helps with with the flow of that. And you know, this series is called Sparking Your Spirit, and you know, both this side of your business and the other side, which we're going to talk about now, both of them spark your spirit because they're both you. And I just think it's wonderful that you're doing both and kind of combining both, but you know, really, really doing both. And both of them absolutely spark your spirit because it's who you are, and you're really, you know, in your passion with both of them. So tell us a little bit about the other side of you, which is your Aztec process and all of the other beautiful things you do with sound healing, etc.
All right. So that all came about from my own personal traumas, I guess you could say, and digging into that, and a lot of internal healing and going to a lot of ceremonies and listening to Eckhart a lot. And then I started seeing the patterns in it, and I was helping a lot of people like I'd been helped, and consuming cacao, getting asked where to buy it and all these sorts of things. And then it just, these nudges came in, and I had so much fear in the initial stage, but I was getting burnt out in my business, just being caught up in the mind. And I wanted a way to balance myself. Yeah. So it's like, well, why can't I do both? Why can't I? So I then started building for me, because, you know, I was actually a little bit burnt out with the marketing side of the business. And I just, my passion for it had dwindled. My flame was shrinking down, you know, because there was a few things that happened, and my confidence got knocked out of me. It wasn't from a lack of knowledge, but just, what am I doing here? So then I started birthing the Aztec Healing, and the Aztec Process came through, and I've got Aztec Cacao. I sell Aztec Harpe, which is a tobacco snuff. So there's a few things around that, and I run my ceremonies in the Aztec Temple. And as you know, I run the full moon. So every month on the full moon, I go and run a free community give back of that. And there's even been days where and this month I didn't get to do it because it was raining. I was just devo.
And that's at Sutton's Beach for anyone listening who's in the area.
Anyone who's local, yep. Redcliffe, Sutton's Beach there every full moon. And that page is Unity Sounds Collective, where those events, but I also share it on the Aztec Healing, which I know you're going to be putting that page on the events tab. I also share it there. And I also inherited the Awakening Souls SEQ Facebook group, which, you know, had 12,000 members or something, but I did a massive culling and cleaning out of a lot of people and things. So it's almost back to 10,000 members now as well. And that's got about 5,000 highly, you know, active people in there. So I've been working on getting that up to speed over the past 2 years as well. But the sound healing and into your cells, because I'm all about that holistic approach. And, you know, when I'm working with people and they're getting caught up in their marketing, I will just say a couple of words and bring them back into their heart space.
So important, isn't it? Because I mean, you'd be coming across business people who are at that burnout stage like you were as well, and so to be able to help them with that as well, I just think it's a real gift, because, you know, otherwise you're trying to help a burnt out business person and nothing will get through.
Well, I mean, you know, I know of someone I had a conversation with recently that there's this stuckness, and it's just that conversation and injecting a little bit of fun into it, and suddenly you're going, oh actually. And I can get so excited when I start seeing things in their business, and I guess because I'm getting excited, they start to see that and feel that and get re-enthused, and suddenly their flames, you know, going whoosh. Again, I've got a phoenix on my screen staring at me behind me here, because it's all about that rebirth. You know, I've got a phoenix on my arm here too.
And when people are in that joy, and they're in that energy of what else is possible, then they start trusting themselves a bit more, and you know, hence the spiritual side of whatever they want to do, whether it's meditations or you know, sound healing journeys or all of that. they kind of then say, yeah, I'm worthy of doing that, because so many of us, and I know you've been there as well, I've been there too, it's all work, 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 do. I don't deserve to have a day off. I don't deserve to do anything for myself because I've got to get this done. And so to have that other side and to have lived it, and then to be really saying to people, well, you know what, you can have some fun, you can have some joy, and you can actually look after yourself as well as your business. And in fact, you are your business. So you need to look after both.
You do. You need to. Yes, absolutely. Walk the talk. And, you know, the Aztec Process, these are the beginning of my cards that I'm developing. They are business card size. And I got that idea from someone else as well. And I have deep gratitude for that too. But for me, it was, and I am developing a card for each as well. But I use this process in my inward expansion ceremonies that I run. And I talk about each of those. I bring in sacred geometry, and we're looking for patterns of yourself and going through it, you know. So having the awareness of something, acknowledging it, you know. So when I'm talking to a business owner, they're aware that they need a website, and, you know, okay, I'm aware of it. Okay, I acknowledge that I need it. Do I accept that I need it? And some people are stuck there and going, nah, I don't accept technology. However, embrace the possibilities. What if it actually is, you know, the mycelium network, it's all interconnected. What if this is what is required for you to be visible and seen? A website is an online brochure.
And what if it could be simple and easy?
Yes. What if you didn't have to do the tech, if that's not your thing? So there's a saying I've got written around a few places. It's either you've got more money or more time. If you don't have the money, then you need to put the time in. If you don't have the time, then you need to put more money in. And some people go, what if I don't have either? And it's like, well, you're going to have to keep chopping wood, carrying water in a job. And it doesn't matter if you're subcontracting and doing other work, which supplements and feeds the building of the passion. And then it's calendar blocking. So this is where my systems come into place, right? It's like, right, here's a process, here's a system. What worked for me? Calendar blocking. I used to work 7 days a week, all hours of the night, because nighttime was when I had peace and quiet and no one interrupted me. I wasn't as tempted to go on Facebook because no one else was on there, and the messages were quiet, and the phone never rang anyway because my phone's always locked down on silent.
And there's a lot of single mums with young kids who all work at night as well.
Yeah, and that's where I started, because I started as a single mum with 3 kids, and I had to rebuild myself, my life. So what did I do? Well, I mummed during the day, and I worked on the computer from 9 o'clock till 1 a.m. in the morning were my hours. But then when the kids got older, I still kept doing that. Plus I started working, you know, they were at school. So when they're at school, I would be doing work in between and things like that. And I started losing myself in it. So when I calendar blocked, and I only do client calls now 3 days a week. So 3 days a week are my working days in my calendar. The other 2 days, Monday, Friday, I work on my business days. The weekend is mine. If I choose to do some work in that time, then that's okay, but that's not an expectation. People in the past expected that from me because I gave that. So I had to pull back in what was my healthy boundary for me. And that's what that became. And it was actually really difficult at first to say, when someone said, oh, can you do Monday? Oh, okay. And then I would feel terrible. I would then, me personally, would be hurting because I didn't value me enough, and I gave up my time for me working on my, because what about my business? Oh, it's all right, I'll do it later. Later never comes, right?
So even that process, if someone comes to see you and they're just overwhelmed with everything and they've got no systems, nothing, even that, just helping them with, hey, let's just work out when you're going to work in your business and when can you work on yourself outside of that. I mean, even that would be such a beautiful start for somebody to to really get their mind in a process. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's clarity. It's if you can have a clarity and understanding with where you're headed, it just takes away a lot of that churning and anxiety that you can hang on to.
It really does. And that also allows that room then and that space for the intuition to come in, because both of us know when we're busy and the head is just like a bloody hamster wheel with 5 hamsters in it.
Yep.
Intuition can't come in. It's like, ding. It's like, here it comes. Oh, off.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good description, because the thoughts used to come through and I used to say, they're coming in so thick and fast, but I can't grab them.
Because they're deflecting off the hamster.
Yeah, because they're like, so, pew, 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 pew. So I used to, and thank you, Eckhart, I used to stand there doing the dishes. I intentionally went, no, I'm going to do the dishes. And there were some times where I'm like, I was going to do the dishes. Oh, no, it's okay. It's like, my inner voice was like, but I really wanted to do the dishes, because that's a form of meditation.
It really is.
Listening to the water running, the bubbles, the clinking, the slushing, all of it. And that gave me the space to then have all this. And that's what I realized when I'm doing chores, I can actually be thinking about things, that it all starts happening. Whereas
you can allow the intuition to come in.
Yeah. If you're always busy doing, then how can you be?
Absolutely. And that's, and that's why I have loved this series and all the guests I've had on so far, because no matter what business people are in, if you love what you do, your spirit is being sparked every day with joy, and that in itself is beautiful. But being in that energy allows even more to come in. So let me ask you about your simple marketing mentoring that you are promoting at the moment. Tell us a little bit about that, what it involves, and what people can expect.
Okay, so that one came about because I heard someone say, I just want marketing to be simple.
Yes.
And I'm like, I get
there'll be a lot of people putting their hands up for that one. Yes.
Yeah, and it just, the penny dropped. There was just something, but it is simple. It was like, why can't people see it's simple? Well, it's simple for me.
Yeah.
Because I've done it for so long and on such a deep level. So I studied deep into a lot of aspects. So I had lots of wells.
And it's something that you love to do as well, but it's not something everybody loves to do. But if you can simplify it, then maybe someone would start to actually like it.
Yeah. So, and I say it always starts with a conversation, because how do I get into your head and know what it is? It's like, well, you've got to tell me, what is it that you're wanting? And I used to use the thing of if I could wave a magic wand, what is it? Just recently, I've gone through someone who has just published a second book. They needed to do a masterclass. They needed to do a VIP list for their book launch. They then ran a workshop. They're now we're updating the website, and then now they're planning a course for next year. All of that was just like, she was going, oh, and I said, it's okay. And it works. People go, how does it work? Well, it works how it needs to work. There is no set way. I like to go, I've got a few things I know is going to happen. There is these things, they will happen. But there's all this variables out here, which is you swimming around going, where am I going? What am I doing? So we have that conversation. We create that, marketing map, business blueprint, marketing action plan, I call it. And we unpack, I ask questions. How are you going about collecting customers? It's on here. Where's my list? That's How are you collecting customers? How are we converting them? How do you get paid? How are you collecting money? Is it easy for them? If you make it hard for someone to do business with you, they will go elsewhere, because they want what you offer. But if it is too hard, they just won't.
Or if there's no access to it. So, so for someone out there who is looking for, and they're listening to this and they are looking for some simpler systems and some simpler ways of getting what they have out there. They can come to you, you'll have a conversation, and you'll just meet them where they are and get started. And I mean, you'll have like a bigger vision that you will see for them, because that's what you are really great at, among other things.
Yeah.
But they just take step one and then just
Yes.
take the next step and just the next step.
Yeah. And I've had people that have even been too scared to have that conversation because they're scared I'm going to sell to them. And that's not what I'm about. Yes, of course, I'm in business. However, I'm not here to push a sale and say, you've got to, because I hear it all the time where people go and have these calls with people and they go with an agency. Suddenly they're getting a whole new rebrand. They're getting a whole new website and they're getting all this stuff redone that was only done 2 years ago. And it doesn't really get them ahead. They're still in that same overwhelm and things. So I just have that conversation with people and ask them what it is that they're wanting, and then go, well, we could tap into this. Here's my free resources. Go consume that. If they're not selling a product yet, they've got a bit of work to do, but it's a really good time to actually tap into business operating success systems so that you're set up for success, not set up for failure.
Exactly, and you can help them with all that. So, I love it. Well, all of your details are in the description, and please have a conversation with Lyndi if you are struggling with anything to do with your marketing or your business systems, and just get started. Just say yes to something.
Have that conversation.
Just say yes to yourself. Say yes to the conversation.
Yes. Hopefully I have sparked and inspired someone who's listened to this to go, maybe it is possible that I could actually have fun in the technology world because I've got a Lyndi in my pocket.
Exactly. And I think the fact that you have really tapped into that spiritual side as well, and you get people, you're not all just logic. I just feel that really it kind of makes you a bit more human.
Yes.
I'm not offending anyone who's not.
Yeah, well, I think you mean corporate. I don't do corporate way of things. There's nothing wrong with it, and it suits some people. However, I'm very much free flow, go with the flow. Yes, there is some systems that support you to be in flow. Why can't we have that as well?
Exactly.
And we don't have to conform to the indoctrinated ways.
Get your business in flow, and then also you can explore all the other things Lyndi does to get yourself in the flow. So I highly recommend you go and explore all of the things that she does. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to you.
Yes, thank you, Trish. The time has gone so fast, and I'm all excited now.
I know. All right, thanks everybody, and I look forward to seeing you. This is actually the final episode in this series. I will see you all next year for Series 7. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Trish.